You're hanging out at a bar with your boys, couple drinks deep, and somebody asks the question that gets everybody talking. When do women really want it most? Suddenly, everyone's got an answer. Everyone's got a tale to tell. But here's the thing. Nobody actually knows for sure, because we're all running on guesses, crossed fingers, and that random blog post we skimmed years back. Let me break this down for you. I promise. What I'm about to tell you isn't what you've heard before. It's not what Hollywood sells you, and it sure as hell isn't what your pride wants to believe. I discovered this reality totally by chance. Hit 34, fresh off a divorce, nursing my ego, and wondering where I went wrong, got back in the dating game. And here's what threw me. The women chasing me hard, and I mean really hard, weren't the 20-somethings I thought wouldn't give me the time of day. They were women pushing 40, some hitting 50, and they came at me with a fire that made my ex-wife's 10 years of lukewarm attention feel like a cruel punchline. These women had it all figured out. What they craved, when they craved it, how they craved it, and zero time for games. Let me share something nobody bothers to mention about female attraction. Pay close attention here, because this is going to turn your entire worldview upside down. That young woman you tied the knot with at 25, she's still learning what her own body can do. She's working through the basics, still self-conscious with the lights on, still acting out what she thinks passion should look like, based on romance flicks and paperback novels. But that divorced woman, in her mid-40s, texting you at midnight, man, she's tuned into a completely different channel, and if you're not ready for it, she'll consume you whole. Here's the pattern I've witnessed, over and over, like watching the same film replay endlessly. Women reach their sexual peak, not when their bodies are youngest and tightest, but when their minds finally stop getting in the way. All that self-doubt, all that constant pleasing others, all that, what's he going to think if I try this baggage, that young women haul around like 50-pound weights. Somewhere around 40, they toss that weight in the garbage and finally tune into what their bodies have been screaming at them forever. I recall this talk with a woman I was involved with. She was 43, divorced, kids away at college. We're laying there after what I can only call a spiritual awakening, and she bursts out laughing. I ask what's cracking her up, and she goes, "If you'd told 25-year-old me that I'd be having the wildest nights of my existence in my 40s with a younger guy, I'd have thought you were crazy. I had no clue my body could do what just happened. I had no idea I could crave something this intensely." Then she dropped something that stayed with me forever. I wasted 2 decades having polite, boring intimacy when I could have been having this. See, there's this belief we've all swallowed that women's desire is like a new car losing value the second it leaves the dealership. 25 is the top, 30 is sliding downhill, 40 is a barren wasteland. What complete garbage. What really happens is, women's passion is like premium wine that requires years to build its full depth, to hit its true potential, to stop caring about the fancy label, and start focusing on how it actually tastes. But here's where things get wild, and this part's going to mess with your brain. It's not purely about age, it's about what's happening at those different stages. A 30-year-old mom with 3 little kids under 5, she doesn't crave intimacy, she craves sleep. Her body might be younger, but her life is draining her into numbness. She's touched out from children climbing all over her constantly. She's stressed over mortgage bills and school paperwork. She's buried so deep in mother mode that remembering she's a sensual person feels like remembering she used to speak Spanish in high school theoretically possible, but practically meaningless. Fast forward 15 years though, kids are teenagers, independent, maybe even moved out. She's solid in her career, or at peace with her path. She's not wiped out from feeding babies or running after toddlers. Suddenly, she's got energy back, time back, mental space back. And guess what rushes in to fill that space? All that buried desire. All those daydreams she's been pushing aside for years. All that sensuality that's been simmering on the back burner suddenly explodes to the front like an unstoppable force. I've had conversations with countless women about this, and the consistency is almost spooky. They all echo variations of the identical theme. I thought something was broken in me during my 30s. I figured maybe I just wasn't a passionate person. Then I crossed into my 40s, and it felt like somebody flipped a switch. I crave it more intensely now than I did at 20. The difference is, I understand what I want, and I'm not scared to speak up about it. That's the crucial distinction men need to grasp. A 25-year-old might sleep with you because she figures she should, because it's Saturday evening, because she doesn't want to upset you, because that's what girlfriends supposedly do. A 45-year-old gets intimate with you because she genuinely wants to, because her body is screaming for it, because she's finally discovered how to put her own satisfaction ahead of your fragile ego. That's an entirely different vibe. And if you've never felt it, you're missing what true female desire looks like when it's not buried under insecurity and duty. Let me sketch you a picture of how this unfolds in actual life. Young women, I'm talking 20s and early 30s, they're still putting on a show. They're anxious about their belly, about awkward sounds, about whether you'll judge them for being too forward or not forward enough. They're experiencing intimacy from outside themselves, observing themselves like they're watching a movie, critiquing their performance, questioning if they're doing everything correctly. It's passion as anxiety, passion as performance evaluation, passion as relationship upkeep. But women in their 40s and 50s, they're not performing a damn thing. They're fully inhabiting their bodies, completely present, claiming what they want, offering what they choose to offer. They're not stressing about stretch marks because they've earned every single one. They're not worried about volume because they've learned their satisfaction matters. They're not thinking about anything except pure sensation, connection, the raw physical experience of being alive. That's the gap between performed intimacy and authentic craving. Now here's something that'll blow your mind about timing and availability. Young women have the opportunity, but not always the hunger. They're physically capable, socially accessible, but mentally somewhere else entirely. Older women have the hunger, but not always the opportunity. They want it desperately. Their bodies are practically screaming for it, but society's told them they're expired goods. Men their age are chasing younger options. The entire dating world treats them like they should feel lucky for any attention whatsoever. I knew this woman, 47, absolutely gorgeous, successful, sharp as hell. Everything you dream of in a partner. She confessed she hadn't been intimate in 3 years. Not because she didn't want it, she wanted it desperately, but because guys her age wanted younger women, and younger guys didn't see her as possible. She was trapped in this intimacy void, burning with hunger, but nowhere to channel it. When we finally connected, it was like being with someone who'd been starving and finally got invited to a banquet. The intensity was almost frightening. But here's the harsh reality about female craving that nobody wants to acknowledge. It's not just about age, it's about the man she's dealing with. A woman can be at her supposed prime age, and feel absolutely nothing if she's with a guy who doesn't spark something inside her. On the flip side, a woman in her 60s can feel like a teenager again with the right person. Female desire isn't some simple chart with age on one side and arousal on the other. It's a complicated mix of hormones, life situations, emotional bonds, and whether the guy involved actually knows what the hell he's doing. I've witnessed this play out repeatedly in my own experiences and watching guys around me. Dude marries his college girlfriend. They have kids. Life gets hectic. Intimacy becomes a scheduled Tuesday night chore, if it happens at all. He assumes her drive is dead, that this is just marriage reality. Then she walks out on him for a fitness instructor or a workplace colleague or some random dude she bumped into at Starbucks. And suddenly, she's more active than she was in college. The drive wasn't dead. It was in a coma, triggered by boredom, routine, and a partner who quit seeing her as a passionate being. Let's address the elephant nobody wants to talk about: perimenopause and menopause. Every guy assumes this is when female passion dies for good, when the shop permanently closes, when intimacy becomes ancient history. Dead wrong, completely, utterly wrong. What actually happens during this phase is women's hormones go absolutely wild. And for plenty of women, this creates a surge in craving that makes their 20s look like a convent. They're not worried about pregnancy anymore. Their hormones are spiking unpredictably. There's this biological urgency, this now or never sensation that can make them absolutely ravenous. I dated a woman going through perimenopause, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it almost destroyed me. She wanted it morning, afternoon, and night. She'd shake me awake at 3 a.m, ready to go. She'd send me messages during the workday that would make adult film stars blush. She told me her body felt like it was burning up, like if she didn't get satisfaction, she might genuinely lose her sanity. And this wasn't unique to her. Talk to any honest woman in her mid-40s to early 50s, and she'll share similar tales about this wave of nearly overwhelming hunger. But society doesn't discuss this because it doesn't match the story. The story claims older women are dried up, passionless, invisible. The story says men peak at 18 and women become worthless past 30. The story is complete garbage, designed to sell young women insecurity and older women invisibility. The reality is, countless women are having the most incredible experiences of their lives in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. They're just not having it with their husbands who quit trying 15 years back. Here's what I've discovered from all this, and it's probably the most critical thing I'll share with you. Women's desire is responsive, not spontaneous. Young women often haven't figured out what triggers them yet. They're still experimenting, still discovering, still separating what genuinely works for them versus what they think should work. Older women know precisely what triggers them, and if you're not delivering it, they're not interested. But if you are delivering it, if you're hitting those buttons they've identified through decades of experience, the response is explosive. A 45-year-old woman who understands her body, understands her triggers, understands what she craves, and has found someone who can deliver. That's not just a partner, that's a force of nature. She's not lying there questioning if her thighs look big. She's not faking satisfaction. She doesn't feel. She's not being intimate because it's been 2 weeks and she feels obligated. She's being intimate because every cell in her body is demanding it, because the craving is so powerful, it's almost painful, because she's finally learned her pleasure matters just as much as yours, But here's the tragedy, and it genuinely is tragic. Most men are completely unprepared for this reality. They spend their 20s and 30s thinking they're God's gift to women, that their young wife's lukewarm response is just how women naturally are, that intimacy is something women endure rather than crave. Then they hit their 40s, maybe get divorced, and suddenly meet women their own age who genuinely want passion, who actively chase it, who know precisely what they want and aren't shy about demanding it. And these men panic. They retreat back to younger women who'll pretend to be satisfied with their mediocre performance rather than face the reality of a woman who actually knows what great intimacy looks like. I've watched countless friends do exactly this. Get divorced, immediately start seeing 25-year-olds bragging about their young girlfriends. Meanwhile, their ex-wives are having mind-blowing experiences with men who appreciate what a confident woman brings to the table. These guys think they're winning, but they're actually retreating to the shallow end because they're terrified of swimming in the deep water. The other factor nobody discusses is how women's relationship with their own bodies transforms with age. Young women are often battling their bodies, viewing them as projects requiring improvement, problems needing solutions, sources of shame, requiring concealment. Older women have often made peace with their bodies, learned to value them for what they can do rather than how they appear, discovered that satisfaction matters more than perfection. This shift is revolutionary for female passion. When you quit worrying about appearance during intimacy, you can finally focus on sensation. And that's when things get genuinely interesting. I remember this moment with a woman in her late 40s. She was undressing, and I noticed she wasn't doing that thing younger women do, trying to hide themselves, sucking in their stomachs, positioning themselves in flattering angles. She just removed her clothes like it was the most natural thing in the world, completely comfortable in her skin. When I mentioned it, she laughed and said, "Honey, I spent 30 years hating this body. I'm finished with that. This body gave me children, survived sickness, carried me through life. If you don't like what you see, there's the door. But if you're staying, you're going to appreciate every single inch of it." That confidence, that ownership of her passion was intoxicating. But here's what men must understand, and this is crucial. Women's desire at any age gets killed by specific things, and age often determines what those killers are. For young women, it's often insecurity, exhaustion from small children, the mental burden of managing a household. For older women, it's being made to feel invisible, being compared to younger women, having partners who've quit putting in effort, a woman in her 40s or 50s who's made to feel desired, valued, seen. Her passion will blow your mind. That same woman, made to feel like she should be grateful for scraps, she'll shut down entirely. The window of opportunity is also different. Young women might have the time and energy, but not the craving or knowledge. Women in their 30s might have the knowledge, but not the time or energy. Women in their 40s and beyond often have all three: the craving, the knowledge, and finally the time and energy. But society tells them they're too old. Men their age are looking elsewhere, and they're supposed to gracefully fade into passionlessness. It's a criminal waste of human potential. I'll share with you the most intense relationship I ever experienced. She was 46, I was 38. She knew precisely what she wanted, when she wanted it, how she wanted it. She wasn't playing games, wasn't trying to trap me into marriage, wasn't using intimacy as a bargaining chip. She wanted connection because she enjoyed it, because her body craved it, because she'd reached an age where she understood life is short and satisfaction matters. The absence of hidden agendas, the pure desire for physical connection and pleasure was liberating in ways I'd never experienced before. But it wasn't purely physical. She had this emotional intelligence about intimacy that younger women often lack. She grasped that sometimes connection is about bonding, sometimes about release, sometimes about playfulness, sometimes about comfort. She could read the atmosphere, adapt to what was needed, communicate without awkwardness. There was no performance anxiety because she wasn't performing. She was just being herself. And that authenticity was more attractive than any 20-year-old body could ever be. Now, let me address something controversial but true. The whole cougar thing isn't about older women preying on younger men. It's about women finally reaching an age where they're comfortable pursuing what they want, and younger men being less threatened by that confidence than men their own age. A 45-year-old woman who knows what she wants is terrifying to a 45-year-old man who's been coasting on mediocrity for 20 years. But to a 30-year-old man who's confident in his abilities, that's not terrifying. That's exciting as hell. There's another aspect men completely miss: the freedom that comes with experience. A woman in her 20s is often still figuring out birth control, worried about reputation, concerned about what her friends will think, navigating the complicated social dynamics of young adult relationships. She's got roommates. She's worried about noise. She's scheduling intimacy around her cycle like it's a business meeting. A woman in her 40s, she's got her own place. She knows her body's patterns like a familiar melody. She's beyond caring what anyone thinks about her private life. That freedom translates into an uninhibited approach to pleasure that younger women simply can't access yet. I learned this lesson viscerally when I dated two women back to back, one 26, one 44. The 26-year-old was gorgeous, objectively more physically attractive, but the connection was like a rehearsed performance. She had moves she'd learned from magazines, positions she'd seen in videos, a script she was following. The 44-year-old threw out the script entirely. Every encounter was different, spontaneous, driven by what we both craved in that exact moment. She'd suggest things I'd never considered, not because she read about them, but because she'd lived long enough to know what she genuinely enjoyed. The saddest thing I witness is women in their 40s and 50s who've been convinced they're past their prime, that they should feel grateful for any attention, that their cravings are embarrassing or inappropriate. They're sitting on this volcano of passion, this wealth of experience and desire, and they've been told to keep it buried, to act their age, to accept their time has passed. Meanwhile, they're probably experiencing the strongest urges of their lives. Their bodies are capable of satisfactions they didn't even know existed at 25, and they're being told to pack it all away like winter coats. Here's what I want every man hearing this to grasp. If you're married to a woman in her 40s or 50s and your intimate life is dead, it's not because she doesn't want connection. It's because she doesn't want connection with you. the way you're currently offering it. You're probably still treating her like the 25-year-old you married, not recognizing she's evolved. Her cravings have changed. Her body has changed. What works for her has changed. You're playing a song she's tired of hearing while she's craving something completely different. The woman who was satisfied with 5 minutes of missionary position at 25 because she didn't know any better, at 45, she knows precisely what she's missing, and your lazy routine isn't cutting it anymore. She needs you to see her as she is now, not as she was then. She needs you to appreciate the passionate being she's become, not mourn the girl she used to be. She needs you to match her energy, her knowledge, her desire, not expect her to shrink back down to your comfort level. And if you're single and dating, quit chasing 20-somethings who don't know what they want and start appreciating women who do. Yes, her body might not look like a magazine model, but her passion is fully developed, fully realized, fully available if you're man enough to handle it. She's not going to pretend you're amazing if you're not. She's not going to fake anything to protect your ego. But if you can actually deliver, if you can meet her where she is, the experience will make every 20-something you've been with look like a rehearsal for the real performance. The truth about when women crave intimacy most isn't a simple age number. It's when life circumstances, self-knowledge, hormonal changes, and opportunity align perfectly. For many women, that's in their 40s and 50s. They've raised their kids, found their confidence, quit caring about judgment, and their bodies are demanding satisfaction with an urgency that would shock their younger selves. They're not the desperate housewives of male fantasy. They're fully realized, passionate beings who know precisely what they want and aren't afraid to claim it. The question isn't when women want connection most. The question is whether men are prepared to handle women who genuinely want passion, who pursue it actively, who know what great intimacy looks like, and won't settle for less. Because that 23-year-old who seems so eager, she might be acting. That 45-year-old who seems disinterested, she might be waiting for someone who can actually satisfy the volcano of desire she's sitting on. Stop believing the cultural lies about female passion declining with age. Stop assuming youth equals desire. Stop running from women who actually know what they want because it threatens your ego. The best connection of your life might be with someone society tells you is past her prime, but who's actually just hitting her stride. Open your eyes, challenge your assumptions, and you might discover that everything you thought you knew about when women want intimacy was completely, utterly wrong.